Right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second panel session here at INDX Menswear. Thank you very much to Alison and her team for organising the show and these panel sessions. I'm delighted to see you all here. My name is Eric Musgrave. I'm a journalist working in the menswear business and have been doing so for 42 years now, God help me. And still enjoying it and delighted to be here, seeing such a positive show. The subject of today's panel session is online and social media for the independent retailer and indeed their suppliers. And I'm delighted to have with me two experts who worked in marketing before they came to their senses and got a job in the menswear business. So, can I ask you to introduce yourself, starting with my young friend here with his hat on?
Hi, I'm Simon Whitaker, the CEO of Master Debonair.
Hi, I'm Marc. I'm the CEO of Double H Agency.
Okay, who is exhibiting here?
Exhibiting here with few brands, and a lot of people around here knows us.
Okay, right. So, as some of you may have been here earlier today for the earlier session, I am a great believer in the experience for a menswear consumer is to go to a menswear shop and see, feel, try on, talk to the proprietor, get some background. But clearly, online is a big part of the modern world. So what we're here to say is learn some do's and don'ts. And to start with Simon, when we were chatting, I was interested to learn that when you started Master Debonair, which has now got 3 branches and another one in the pipeline, you actually had a website, a transactional website, before you had a physical shop.
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah, I mean, my background was I worked in sales and marketing for 15 years, so I worked for a digital marketing agency for 2 years as well. So when I was looking to set up Master Debonair, we actually went with a website first. So I built that in our spare room. No experience whatsoever. We're building websites. I was business development manager, sales director, whatever in a previous life. But just learned how to build a website. So went live with the website first, but always knew that we would open a shop.
Yeah.
Second.
And you said to me, even though your website these days is transactional, correct?
Yeah, from day one. Yeah.
But the real idea, if I understood you correctly, was to get people to come to the shop. Is that the number one?
Yeah, it was. I mean, for me, we had to be multi-channel, so we had to have a transactional website from the off. But we kind of knew from past experiences of other businesses really being a destination to come to, that you had to have your website and you had to have your social media channels set up before you even contemplating opening a store. For us, that was over 6 years ago now.
Yeah. Because I've been to your original store in East Bolton up in the northeast there.
Yeah.
And when I was there, I went to judge for the Drapers Award, which you subsequently won, of course.
Yeah.
Well done. It's a real personal experience.
Yeah.
I mean, for number one, your collection is very coordinated. So there's lots of things go with lots of other things, which may be not obvious just looking at individual pictures on a website.
Yeah.
Secondly, I know, just like myself, you've got very good personal service to the degree that, as well as the shop, which is a very nice but quirky shop, it's a shop. You also then have a kind of showroom experience for the grooms and their various best men and so on. So it's a bit like a bridal suite, but for blokes. So it's a real personal service, isn't it?
It was, and it was myself and my business partner designed the stores. The design concept around them was coming to our home. We were married at the time, but we're not anymore. But that's a different story, and it's all good. Great business partners and nothing else. But it was in a hotel lounges as well. So really sitting around, we wanted people, the places that we were visiting at the time, we kind of spend hours there, and we wanted our stores to be like that as well. So it is a real personal experience, very well, in my opinion, merchandised as well. So it's very easy to shop and show different ways, different looks with a small number of pieces.
So how do you manage to replicate that online then?
That's the difficulty. What we do is there's a couple of ways that we do it on our website. We've got to get the look page. So any looks that we shoot, we pull together a look and it's fully shoppable, which was a development that we had done before. We use Shopify as a platform. So Shopify didn't offer that. I had something custom built to show a three-piece suit on one page, the look on one page, mainly through social media as well. I'm sure, like with a lot of retailers in this space, we get customers coming in most days who've seen something on social media and they're like, I want that look. Right. So we try and make it as easy as possible. So really using social media is aspirational looks to then come into the bricks and mortar stores as well, but you can also shop that full look online as well.
And what channels are you using most now for Master Debonair?
Still most. Facebook was always the big one from the off. Without Facebook, we just wouldn't have a business in our stores, and it's changed dramatically. So Facebook, then Instagram, we've really started to build up. So we've got about 180,000 likes on Facebook. I think it's about 30,000 followers on Instagram. More than me as well.
By about 180,000.
But then obviously video content's really come into it more and more. So I would say even in the last couple of months.
Really?
So we're just starting to really look at TikTok as well. We've messed around a little bit with YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn. I've been using LinkedIn for over 20 years now with my sales career. So we've got, I think there's about 3,000 followers on our LinkedIn page, and then that feeds into my personal stuff. So it's like I live and breathe like the social media side of it, but it has its benefits.
Yeah, as my wife will tell you, so do I.
Yeah.
You do a great job. So that's interesting because you're a retailer, and retailers kind of obviously should be doing it. I think certainly during lockdown, a number of people who are maybe not keen on social media, not keen on online selling, had to do it because there was really no option apart from the quiet visits to people's homes and everything. But turning to you, Mark, you're not a retailer, you're an agency, but you have got a very active social media presence, and in fact, you two met each other by finding each other on social media.
Actually, yes. So I
not on a dating.
No, I was just going to say
no. Wasn't the reason the marriage broke up. Can I just say that for the record? It's being filmed, so that we can just say that. But you did find each other. Who found who? And
he found us.
He found us.
So tell me, Double H. I mean, it's not obvious that a multi-brand agency should be so active. I know it might have the odd thing, but you're very, very active, aren't you? So you also had a background in marketing, didn't you?
Yeah. So basically, my background in Spain, I was working in media and communication. So from day one that I started joining the company, I on back to 2014, so a long time ago. Oh my gosh! And I said I see that there is a gap because coming from Spain at that time it was really active Twitter. It was starting the Facebook. So I take the piece and I saw a really gap on the market in terms of the social media. It's something that I would say maybe I'm wrong on someone in this room maybe was doing the same, but I can say that we are the first agency. Menswear agency that we have a profile on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter back on 2014, 2015. So it's a long way on that, and that has been complemented as well as Simon was mentioning in an omni-channel thing that having present on social media and also on the website to make it easier. Also, it was something that it wasn't that quite well done before. We have been improving in the past, but I think that the social media has been becoming a really, really good part for us in the agency because nowadays there is plenty of brands, and you can see in this show there is a lot of brands, and obviously in every single brand there is the same budget, the same efforts, the same ideas. So it was the way to put the brand in front of the suppliers, so our customers, and at the same time help the brands that are tiny or not well known to put it in front of the third customers, because it's true that we have brands that are selling in the UK, but there are some of them that are not able to sell in the UK. So it's a mix of between doing the sending the information to our customers, but at the same making popular and help our customers to bring the brand in front of these people.
Because the interesting thing, I mean, just generally, the sort of received wisdom, I mean, I don't have any statistics on this, but the received wisdom is that, you know, social media activity for women's wear gets much more engagement than menswear.
Exactly.
You know, women buy more clothes and it's about 5 times bigger than menswear and so on. But you're finding, I mean, you're both finding that, you know, menswear really engage, you know, men really engage in this. Because you're ultimately you're looking for more stockists, aren't you, for your various brands? So
Exactly.
that's
It's much
one.
difficult to see more engagement in menswear than in women's wear. If you compare agencies in women's wear that have social media profiles are hugely higher amounts of followers or activity than in the men's side. But I think that it's turning. And maybe also a good point on that is also LinkedIn, that I think that it's more men's side, and that one is also something that we are developing as well in the agency more and more, and it's becoming more and more active. So
yeah, I think that's very interesting. To if you are a retailer, do start looking online for people, and if you see somebody who you like the look of, see who they're following, and then it goes like a sort of following like getting your way through a maze, seeing different people. Marc, in terms of thinking of our index menswear retail audience, what channels would you suggest would be the best ones for them to concentrate if they're not doing too much on social media at the moment, to sort of try out the social media? What do you think would work best for them?
I will say it depends of age group, but I will say between Instagram and Facebook are the main channels to be focused, because I think that in some age group there are people more on Facebook, but in the other age group it's more Instagram, and also obviously nowadays it's the video content is becoming more and more. Not just because us, it's also the algorithm that they are putting in front of us. So it's,
I
it's
think,
not.
so I mean, just to help out on, we've been using scheduling tools for 4 years now. So we don't currently post on. That's not true with Reels. We post directly to Reels on Instagram. But there's the likes of Later and Buffer, you know, all these kind of tools where you can post the same content if you want out onto many channels, and it just saves a little bit of time as well. So that's just a tip for rather than posting content on each individual channels.
Yeah, and also I will say that having in mind how many activity we have in the social media profile channels, I think it's not worth it to start doing a lot of posts. It's worth it at the end. It's just to send a couple of times on Instagram, one time on Facebook, and maybe a couple of times on LinkedIn or one time. I think that's more than enough. It's not taking that huge time. And also another tip on Instagram nowadays, if you are not kind on the video content, that it's so difficult sometimes to have the time to make it. I don't know if you on the Reels, there is so many ways to do it in an easy way and in a nice way, because there is a lot of activity there. There's a lot of people doing influencers, whatever you want to call them. But you can access to the templates. They choose the music, so you take the template, put 10 pictures that have this template on the Reels, and you just make good pictures, and then you can have a nice video so easily done. And also another tip is going in that way, the pictures, because everyone sometimes in the past it was more on that way, but now it's everything vertical. So it's the way to go. And maybe on iPhone as well, the good thing that you have is the pictures that you are taking, you have a small lapse in front and behind. So it's also easy to have a little bit of movement on the video. So it's so easy to using the templates on Reels to create something.
Yeah, the big advice I would give to anybody who's not yet, any independent retailer who's not yet getting into social media, is to do something. Just get something out there, and it's not very difficult, even if you're a bit of a technophobe. But once you see the effect, then maybe you'll decide that it's worth investing in more resources. So Simon, I was just going to say, you said you did it yourself in your own bedroom, but now you've actually got a team doing this, haven't you?
Yeah. I'll just probably counter that point a little bit, because you can spend a lot of time on creating content. My advice is create content that solves problems for your customers. Like that's you can push out all the looks and everything, but try and really help your customers who've got a problem. and solve that through the content you create. But yeah, we've got, again, we're managing teams over the years. I've got head of marketing, who's got, I worked with her 10 years ago at the marketing agency that I work for, so she's got an awful lot. So we're looking more campaign-led now. We're trying to keep away from ad hoc. We're just about to recruit a new social media manager. We've got a content creator, and then each of the 3 stores create content as well as myself create content as well. Yeah. But again,
so you're doing localised stuff then?
Yeah, most definitely. It has to be relevant for especially the areas. So obviously there's Eastbourne, there's Sunderland now, and there's Chesterfield, and again looking at collaborations with other businesses around your areas. Instagram's very good now at tagging in other businesses. Yeah. We did a campaign with X recently. So again, looking at that kind of thing where there's collaborations, but keeping it really relevant. You can go off. We've done it. We've produced bags of content over the years, and nothing ever sees light of day. But keep it real. Try and keep the brand real, the content real, believable. I think the more polished it gets, we've certainly had this before, our engagement just drops. Yeah. So don't be frightened to create your own content. There's no right and wrong.
No, and also the funny thing is that sometimes in our site, for instance, the pictures or the post that gets more likes, it's the post that we are talking about the agency, what we are doing in the agency, but we put our face, our layout, our way of doing the things, and I think that's what the people are looking. So put the face, your content, be you on social media. And I know that this is the most difficult challenging, I think, to put online what your business are on the real life. And nowadays on the local high street, as how it looks that it's growing, and everyone appreciate after pandemics the local high street, I think it's much more important, because obviously there is department stores doing high volume of content, but I think the unique thing that everyone has in this room, it's really unique, and that's more important than anything.
It's just personality. I mean, it's still, we can do a photo shoot, at a race course and spend thousands on it and stuff like that, and I'll take a photograph of me having a bacon sandwich and
you get more likes.
And it's like, so the real stuff just...
You get a load of pictures.
Yeah, I get a lot of, I've just got a Blackburn adventure holiday actually in Norway for nothing. But we'll create content there. But it is... People want to see like the real life stuff, the behind the scenes, because that's what social is all about. It's being social.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, one thing that I think is really important, and I think the real strength of an independent retailer is anybody going into that independent shop is going in to buy, literally to buy into the vision of the owner, him or her or them, whoever they are. And I always think it's really odd how few times you do what you're saying, where you actually put the actual owner, the shop manager, the person on the shop floor that the customer's going to see. When I ever go around and do my features for Drapers or the industry.fashion, as soon as I get my camera out, it's usually ladies, they all run to the back room. Guys are a little bit more egotistical, but they always go and check that what they've got left of their hair's in place and so on. But one thing that really confuses me, when you look at an independent retailer's website, even if it's transactional or not transactional, you try and find a picture of the store, or a picture of the person who owns the store, or even the address of the store. Exactly. So you'll see, Musgrave menswear, and it's got pictures of the stock he keeps, which is the same as hundreds of other shops. And there's nothing special about it. Exactly. The only thing that's special about Musgrave menswear is Musgrave. And I believe on an independent website, it should be Musgrave menswear, 26 the High Street, Toy Town, wherever it happens to be, right at the top. Because I believe in many cases, they should be using it to drive people to that shop to get that experience, as Simon was saying. The thing that undermines that, I have to say, I've spoken to people and say, well, Eric, the thing is, I'm in Edinburgh and most of my business comes from London. Those people who buy are never going to come to my shop. But I don't see that is any reason. If you've got a lovely shop, show it. And they never show a picture of the shop.
I think one of the big things as well, we've I can probably, I don't know how many thousands of different products we've had over the years, but we've never really used any of the brand's imagery. We've created our own, and we started off when it was just me and Eve in the store, and we'd take photographs on our iPhones, and that would be the e-commerce shots. And I see this a lot, and again, you know, I'm sure I've got many competitors in the room, but you know, I want us all to do well out of this. My advice is don't use any, and you might not like this, but don't use any of the brand's imagery. Use your own, because where's your personality? So if you're using the same brand and somebody else has got it, somebody's coming online, it gets into a price battle. You know, so use your own imagery. You know, just iPhone product images.
Yeah, and also you need to think that sometimes you think that back on the online business, I have customers that are in Wales and the best. The people that are buying the brand are in Scotland. They never shop on their shop, but they like the product that they have in their shop, and they like the look, they like the guy that is selling in that shop, but they are able to translate that online, and the people in Scotland are buying something that is based in Wales. So
no, totally. I think a really important point from Simon, because we were chatting about this before we came here, is just be yourself. You know, don't pretend you want to copy somebody. Just be yourself, because that's what you're selling as an independent retailer. You're selling yourself, and people either like it or they don't like it. It's as simple as that. They like your stuff, they like the way you present it, they like you and your staff, or they don't. So there's no point in pretending to be something else. And I think that's one of the real strengths of an independent. Just give it your be natural. Be real, like you say.
Be you.
What advice would you give, Mark? I mean, you know, you guys have got a lot of experience, but you know, what advice would you give to somebody who thinks this is going to be too difficult? Like, you know, you're saying, Simon's saying, just take a picture on an iPhone, and people say, oh, I'm no good on my phone. You've got to ask my grandkids to do it. What practical advice would you give to somebody? Just
first of all, don't be scared, because there is a lot of people that are out there, and it's. I think that you don't need to be scared, and obviously everyone needs to learn and everyone needs to do things. So I think that as a tip, it's just take it and relax. Be you, be like in your party, be relaxed, and I think that don't need to be too much of you, and then be doing a good mix on post, and don't scare at the beginning, and don't look and don't think that you're gonna be having thousands of likes. But I'm sure that the engagement, the people will see you, and that's a good tip. So,
anything to add to that, sir?
Yeah, I think there's an awful lot of insight out there. You know, we take inspiration. I travel a lot. I look on Pinterest a lot. I see what other, not so much other retailers in our sector, but I'll look further afield in different. But bring some. So if you haven't, I'm certainly not a photographer. But I look all the time at photography styles and angles and stuff like that. Even if it's a building, you know, I take loads of photographs of door furniture in London. That maybe is a bit of a fetish. But like, I look at that and I look at how I take a picture of the product. But on Instagram as well, there's loads of insight on there, because there's massive changes in algorithm that's certainly impacting us. Just look at insight. You know, get as much as you can and try and find your style from further afield.
Okay, right, we've got a few more minutes to go. I just want to touch, and it will be just touching on actually transactional websites. So from what I hear, talking to friends of mine in the trade, a number of people maybe had a transactional website but didn't really do anything about it. They had it because they were told to have it, but then it kept them going, but contributed to keep them going during lockdowns. And now that they've seen whatever peak they had has now declined a bit, and people coming back into the shop. So you were telling me Simon, your sales through the website, purely through the website, it comes out what approximately at the moment?
20%.
And would you say you actively promote that, or is that it's just happened?
No, we.
Or would you like it to be more? I'd like
it to be much more, for we spend. We spend hundreds of thousands of pounds over the last few years, from Facebook, Google's.
This is on ads, buying ads and stuff.
Buying ads, agencies, blah blah blah. You know, so when COVID hit, I stripped that right back. So we're kind of building it back up again. But I think fortunately we're working in a digital marketing agency for many years. If you launch a website and expect sales to just come along, it ain't going to happen. It's like me moving house and not telling everybody where I live. Nobody's going to come.
Yeah.
So you've got to be looking at those channels that kind of drive traffic to your site, which is ultimately, everybody talks about social being free. Well, it's not. There's time involved and everything else that goes with it. But it's a difficult landscape at the minute. But without, you've got to have it. You've got to have it for your stores as well as your online sales as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's cost us. I wouldn't like to think hundreds of thousands over the years trying to drive traffic in that sector.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen so much now, but I remember, I would say kind of online selling kind of kicked off about 20 years ago. So I remember being very sceptical about it when I was running Drapers. So another of my great predictions gone wrong. And but one thing I always find interesting is that people who weren't into it thought it was just like paid we go. If only I have a website, I'd be really successful. Yeah. And I do remember writing in one of my colleagues, online businesses go bust too, as we've seen with some of the big ones recently. I mean, what's your view, Marc, on the kind of relationship between brands having their own transactional websites and then also having a wholesale business? Do you think that's just the way of the world these days? Is it just a question of being honest and saying, yeah, we sell online, but we have certain rules and
Basically, so it's true that nowadays after the change on Brexit, it has been changing a lot, and actually we just have two brands that are selling online on the UK. So that's a good thing, because I think in a positive way, all the customers that we have in our brands, they can take the piece, and I'm offering, like, say, have in mind that this brand is not selling online. So you can go online, say to the customer that you don't have this piece, but you can choose on that different types of products, and I can bring it to you. So this is one of the ways, because sometimes nowadays it's really difficult, and I think that's a piece that all the independents needs to take it. The fact that there is not that all the brands are not selling online in the UK. So there's a lot of opportunities, and the thing is that the retailers need to have that in mind. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that they need to buy all the products because there is no online transactional website, but I think it's a positive thing to have. So.
Yeah, one thing I liked, Simon, we were chatting. I think you said something along the lines of when you do all your analysis online, like a customer spending a minute or so on the website, but when they go in the shop, they're there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's so interesting. So I think 100% every independent retailer ought to have a decent representation online, even if it's not transactional. It should be something that if you go Musgrave menswear, you go on there and you see 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages, that's all that sums up what you're about. Somehow. Even if it doesn't have, I agree with you, it doesn't have much product on it, has something that's going to give some sort of information about the spirit of that company, and then the consumer can say, I like the look of that, I'll go and explore more. I think that's definitely. Looking at independent websites, Simon, what would you say are some of the do's and don'ts? What are the sort of the number one things you said? You've spent a lot of money on it. I imagine you've done several iterations of your website. What kind of is really important, like a little checklist of what to get in there and what not to bother with too much? I
think it's making the decision whether you want to have a transactional website or not. I mean, we've got a warehouse manager, people who work in the warehouse, blah, blah, blah. And the stock that goes with it and available and shipping. It was only because of my background of working in some substantial organisations that I knew a lot about logistics as well. But for me, like, if you want to just drive people into your stores, have a great brochure website. So like you've just said before, great imagery, bit of a story about how the business begun, some of the merchandising in store, so really getting across the character of the store. If you're going for a transactional website, we're just developing our 4th website now, same platform, Shopify, but it needs a refresh. Again, good product imagery, so it's nice and clear, product descriptions, size guides, because that's going to be your biggest returns. Luckily we're not too bad, we're about 10% returns online. shipping costs, that kind of thing. But just keep it simple. There's some great templates out there from Shopify that you know, if you've got the time to sit down and develop your own and just test. But they're the main things. Make it very clear.
Yeah.
A reason to stand out and be different from everybody else.
Okay, Mark, just a kind of last question to you, picking up what Simon's just said. What when you're looking at other independent or even you know multiple websites, what do you think works well? What kind of captures your attention as a potential consumer, let alone a supplier?
So I think it's just to get your load there and make it easier the shopping.
Yeah.
So the rule of the 3 clicks usually to make a shopping. So not try to make so difficult to arrive to the basket. And I think then explain the brands that you have and what it makes you different to buy to you instead of another person.
Yeah.
The look that you have, how you put the things down, and all these things.
Yeah.
Just a small thing so obviously Simon was mentioning, so quick, Simon was mentioning that he's putting a lot of money on Instagram, on Facebook, and on ads. It's true that you can do this big inversion, but you can take it slightly smoothly because on Facebook and Instagram you can so easily target your area, your neighborhood. So it's so easy how you can make your ad just appeal to the area that you want. So it's and it doesn't take that much time because it's so easy, and you can use hashtags, use category segments that they are using so you can customize so quick the customers that you are targeting. So and it takes time, but not that many times. And obviously, if you are in another stage, maybe then put a lot of money. It depends how you are looking on the sales online that you are looking for. But at the beginning, it's so easy to target on Facebook and Instagram there.
I think just one last channel that I've not mentioned, which we're looking at, especially the way Meta's gone Instagram and Facebook, is email marketing.
Yeah.
You know, we take emails off every single person that walks through our door. And we also collect online as well, and it is ultimately free, but then you need a great email marketing campaign to go with it. But we're looking at growing our database about 20,000 at the minute, 25,000. I'd recommend looking at email, especially the way Meta's going.
MailChimp, it's so easy as well as a template, as an easy start.
Again, it's template based.
Template based, so easy. Yeah. You can customize a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got 20,000 names on it, you don't need a high percentage to come in and spend a bit of money, and you've had a good day, haven't you? Yeah, exactly. So, listen, have you got any questions from the floor for our expert panel? Young lady there.
Hi, it's just interesting that you keep talking about Instagram and Facebook, but there's TikTok, which is unsaturated, and it's only become big in 2020, and the age group is shifting to be a lot older. I think instead of Instagram, really, you should be focusing on TikTok.
I think I mentioned at the very start that we're just starting to roll that out now. Certainly with the massive emergence of, I mean, I was talking about video 15 years ago when I worked for the marketing agency. Now, like in the last couple of months, it's just gone nuts. So we tend to produce, when I talk about Reels, we're producing video now for Instagram Reels and TikTok, so we're just starting to roll that out. But obviously, Facebook Business has just launched Reels as well, so we're trying to get a hang of that at the minute. It's a bit of a woolly area, but I'm with you on TikTok. Like I say, we've got a social media manager starting in 2 weeks' time. She's built up her own following. She's got about 10,000 likes of her own, who really understands TikTok as well. So I'm with you. I don't know enough. I can't say I know enough about that to comment. Hence the reason why she's coming in. But TikTok, absolutely.
Yeah, but in our side it's more difficult because I think that mainly the buyers, I don't say that they are in TikTok. So for that reason it's much easier to work with Instagram Reels and also Facebook and also getting on, because it's going to be too much things. And I think in our perspective, LinkedIn, it's going to be more relevant for us.
Of course.
Than for other platforms. And it's becoming more and more...
Yours is the business-to-business relationship, whereas Simon's is business-to-business, yes, but also business-to-consumer.
I think regardless, one thing, I try and stay away from just looking at channels now. We've got too hung up on channels, which has cost us an awful lot of money in the past. Think about your content and why you're creating it. Because you can create all this great content and it's not engaging with people.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant that we've got all these channels, and like if I was sat here with no experience in digital marketing, I'd be going, Jesus, what do I do next? Think about the content that you're creating and try and push it out on every channel at the same time, rather than creating content for that content. Solve problems, have some personality.
Yeah, because now it's becoming TikTok, but maybe you don't know which is going to be the next social platform, and if you then start focusing, okay, I need to be in TikTok. So
Like, 5 years ago was Snapchat, and then now
Exactly.
everyone moves out to
exactly,
Snapchat.
exactly. But the people that has been just focusing on oh, okay, jump to TikTok, jump to that, and then it becomes crazy. So it's better, as Simon said, focus on your content, good content, and then you build a pillar content, and then going down. So you can squeeze videos, squeeze shooting or whatever. So pillar content is the main thing as well.
I think your comment about TikTok is very relevant.
Yeah.
We've got to remember the kind of demographic of the kind of consumer audience that Index Menswear typically supplies. So I think a good tip for an independent retailer would have a chat with your customers just in the course of when they're in the shop. Ask them what social media, if any, they're using. So, for example, I for my own business side, I use Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter not very often, and Facebook. And I'm surprised how much engagement I still get from Facebook, from people I would expect not to be using it anymore. But I put basically the same thing on the different channels, and it's interesting just how much engagement I get. So I'd like to stop using Facebook, but I still hear from a load of people that I don't hear from any other channel. They may well be seeing me on Instagram and not bothering to comment because they've already commented on Facebook. But I think the interesting thing for an indie retailer would be just to talk to your consumers and get a sense where they're using. And then, of course, you could say, well, I'll go somewhere else to try and get new customers, but not many people at Index want to attract 17-year-old girls, I would suggest.
I think there's again, my business partner Eve, she's got 30 years experience now, really working on brand as well. So we've got 3 buyer personas. So we know who our customers are, and we create relevant content around each of those. Because we obviously get the prom guys in, we get the guys getting married, we get the guys going out for occasions. So it's really understanding the profile as well of your customers. And TikTok, yes, it does have a if you look at our demographic now, stats in Facebook, our key demographic is 35 to 45. However, I don't want to miss out on the guys who are 15, 16, because they're the ones going to come through from proms to getting married to first jobs and stuff like that. So it's kind of, again, it's something to throw into the mix. It's your buyer personas and really understanding who your customers are.
Exactly. But I think that's the key point, that to understand which is your customer, because obviously maybe you have the customer in TikTok, but maybe you have on Facebook. It depends how relevant it's, and I think that, as Eric said, it's really important to know your customers where they are, how they can see you on Facebook, on Instagram, so it's a good tip to understand where they are.
Andrew, take the question.
I think on your earlier talk you were talking about understanding the consumer, whether you're a supplier or a seller. And I think what's started to happen is you're understanding who you're selling to and why you're doing it. So what is your why? But I think when we start looking at social media, TikTok is a slightly younger demographic. We know, but there's always going to be a creative direction that you want to kind of recruit the next generation. And what's happened with Instagram with Reels is they kind of lost market share to TikTok. And they had to do something different. So you'll get better engagement rate by going into Reels because they're trying to play catch up with TikTok. There's a slightly wider demographic because Instagram is more pictorial and TikTok is more video. So I think it's going back to your first talk this morning about who is your consumer, who's your primary, and who you're trying to recruit into your store to generate that future generation of revenue.
I mean, I think it's, when everybody talks about I want new customers, I want new business, I want you. I think it's really important always to maintain the people you've got.
Exactly.
So I think it's very important to, if most of your customers, let's say, are an older demographic and they're using Facebook, keep using Facebook to remind them that you're still here and they are still important to you. Not say, well, we're not bothering with them because we've got them and we'll go and chase someone else. Because I think it's really important just to. It's customer service. It's saying, "Hey, you're important to me. I'm not taking you for granted."
It's probably not for this talk, but like I say, my ex-wife and business partner, when she was working B2B and had a marketing consultancy, she always used to talk about two really powerful channels. One was Google, but that includes social media, and I know it's probably not for here, but word of mouth. You can't, you know, we're attending now every networking event that's going around our stores as well. So pretty much, you know, the guys run the business, and I'm out there now at any kind of business. So the word of mouth side of it as well.
Yeah.
Never be afraid to talk about your business and your brand.
Yeah, no, very good point. Right, any more for any more? 'Cause I think we've got to go buying and selling and running about. No? Well,
Can I just say something
of
quick?
course you can.
So,
That's what you're here for.
Instagram,
That's why we organise this panel.
Just
so you
an
can
extra
say-
thing.
No,
Just quick thing that I think that also instead of, because sometimes you think that you are shy to try new things, shy to talk about new colors, or you think this color is too much for my audience. So use also social media to try to ask, to talk with your consumer.
Yeah.
Because there you can say, okay, what do you prefer, white, green, or you prefer, oh, what do you think about this overshirt that you never thought that it's for your customer? And maybe there you find a nice model and they say, oh, I really like that. So there is a lot of tools also on social media to get some feedback that it will help you to buy something that you are not brave enough because that's too much.
I'll give you an example of that, and it just so happens that Jack stood there. But I took a photograph of Justin Ree's floral shoes. I mean, I was going to buy them anyway. Because like anything
because
that's,
you like
anything
these
that's, anything that's
You
colourful, I'm not-
overcame in that kindness.
I'm going to buy it if it's colourful. But again, you know, pushed it out there, got some feedback. You can't, but it's a little bit of insight, and the feedback was really positive. I thought it's either going to be Marmite, it's going to do nothing, or it's going to do, and it just went nuts. So I think sometimes when you might not necessarily buy a lot of those, but certainly pushing stuff out to get some feedback,
Some fresh things.
and buying.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
Yeah, because you can get a lot of information out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I think should be stressed about social media, and it's something that I actually paid a former colleague who now does social media marketing as a profession, having got out of journalism. She said, you know, at the end of everything that I post, there should be a question to invite communication back. So not just say, here's a load of stuff, I'm now telling you, and that's the end of the story. It's, here's a load of stuff, I'm telling you, what do you think? Do you remember this? Have you been there? What do you think to this? But I think what you just said, Marc, I think was a great idea of just sort of saying to people, hey, listen, what's your favourite of these three shirts? You know? And it's engaging. So you might only get a small number, but it gives them a chance to communicate back to you.
And also give you some on the back that says, okay, let's try that.
Yeah, of course. I can see it's a very good way of doing inexpensive market research. But it's also, I think, in terms of your relationship with your client, you're saying to your client, your customer, your stockist, your opinion's important to me. I don't know everything. I'm asking you for your opinion. Can you please share? And I think that's really, really important. Right, what's really important is we've got a show to go round. So listen, I'm going to say thank you very much to Simon and to Marc and to INDX for staging this. Thank you very much, ladies and gents.